Figure 6.59 has symmetry. If we're going to call this the top plane, this face the front plane, then we have symmetry across the right plane. So we'll be able to use that to our advantage. If we want the part at the bottom, the origin at the bottom center of the part, then we can extrude mid-plane. And then we'll either use the slot or the hole wizard slot. I tend to stay with the sketch slot. Rounds or fillets are radius of 3. And then when we're looking at the C1, I believe that is a hot rolled designation for the steel. And we are in metric, so new part. If we remember, millimeters, grams, and seconds. If not, then we can expect to get kicked out when we change over to millimeters. Hopefully you realize before you do all of the sketching. Front plane sketch, when I know I'm going to do symmetry, I'll do a center line, and because there's nothing really to connect it to and I don't really want to run out, I'll use a vertical and an infinite length and attach it to the origin with a coincident relation. So vertical and coincident on the line, on the center line. And then it doesn't really matter which way we start. And it looks like the center is just a little bit below, so I'm going to come back this way and then bring the arc back. So as we move that, we can rough position, and then right to left window pick grabs everything and we can mirror. Alright, so the overall distance is 127, and that will kind of adjust the self-scaling. 9 millimeters on the depth, and we have 105 across the flat. And again, that decimal, or the point, is located at the origin, because when we mirrored it connected this line and that point connected this line, so it became a single instead of having two individual segments. So that's kind of the designator there. Overall, we are 38 millimeters tall, and then the radius is 29 millimeters. Okay, so that gives us our outer shape. Go ahead into the extrude, and we'll do a mid-plane for 58 millimeters. Alright, so I have a couple of options on the notch. 11 millimeters, 11 millimeters, not really anything that we can build out there. So if we drew a rectangle on the top, I would just bring it to the edge of the part and extrude 11 millimeters down. If we make it on the right plane, I can make it 11 millimeters and then do through all. So if we select the midpoint, hold down the control button, find that top edge, select the midpoint, 11 millimeters because of the symmetry. It's going to do the other side as well. And then the thing to remember, I always like to illustrate, is that when we extrude cut and we give it the through all in condition, notice that we're only going, in this case, to the left. If I flip the direction, then we're only going to the right. I need direction 2 active, and that will be through all as well. Or we would do through all both, and that would activate them at the same time. So once that's in place, then we can start a new sketch. And now, because my center line has geometry to connect to, it's not really going to hurt if I make it in infinite length. It doesn't really help. The straight slot, and we kind of need to look at what we're given as the distance between the center points, or between between the center points. Center of the slot to the outside would be the other option. I'm looking for that inference line to go to the origin, And as we draw the center line and then bring it out, that's going to give me my geometry. All right, so the slot ends up being kind of like a block in the sense that, let's see, we have 2 times 13, is that when we select the slot and do any kind of feature for it, it is picking the whole thing typically. So when I select, hold down the control button and select the center line, let go of the control button, mirror the entities, and then our bottom edge, 14 millimeters from that bottom edge, is where the slot begins. So would have been better off drawing it on the bottom, but since I didn't, we can go over to hidden lines visible, and because I can find that hidden line, well, it will be something that we can bring into the geometry. And notice that we're at 13.99994. We really need to make sure that that comes out to 14. And then the features, extrude cut, through all. Alright, we'll go back to solid, or over to the display style. And differences are no edges, just the outer edges. Hidden lines visible, and the wireframe is all the geometry. So lines, edges visible is probably the most useful. And then watching for that context menu to pop up, I pick the 2 arcs. We're going to tell it it's a fillet, and it's going to be 3 millimeters. Yeah, 10 looks pretty big on that one. Alright, so go to the isometric, we'll edit the material, and we've been picking 1020, so let's go with just a 1010 hot rolled. Okay, so that gives me my geometry again with the origin at the bottom center. If I need to find it, I just highlight it. You can see where it's at. And when we do the evaluate and go to mask properties, now we have about 1.5 kilograms, 1,467 grams. And the center of mass is 16 millimeters up. Since everything's symmetrical, that would be about right. And we can see where, visually, where that center of mass is and its moments from the screen. Okay, we'll save this one. Go on to the next.